Hi, welcome back to What's Wappler. In this video, I will be showing you how to create your own custom extensions in node.js. As an example, I will show you how to implement an international phone number validator in your node.js app. Custom extensions can be modules or formatters that extend the functionalities of our app. There are already tons of modules and formatters pre-configured in Wappler, but sometimes they don't meet our needs and we need to create our own. To start creating formatters or modules, open the File Manager panel. There is already an extensions folder. Create a server_connect folder in it, and then create a modules folder in the server_connect folder. Make sure the spellings are correct and the folder structure is correct. If you are creating a formatter, you will need to create a formatter folder in the server_connect folder. In this video we are only creating a module. To read more on the topic, visit the official Wappler documentation on it. I will link it in the description. This is the module we will be working with. We will pass our phone number to it. It validates the number. If the number is valid, it returns the number back to us in international format. If the number is invalid, it returns an invalid response. I will link this page in the description. Let's start by installing the module. Create a .json file in the modules folder. Give it a name to identify your module. I have already pre-written the code in this file. I will explain it line by line in a moment. Create another JavaScript file in the modules folder. Give it the same name as the .json file. In the .json file we define the UI for the module. In the JavaScript file we will write the code that will execute the module. More on this later. We need to first call the module, then write a function that will be executed on request. We will write an export function, then pass an options parameter to the function. The options parameters will come from our .json file. Parse the options. The options will come from properties in our .json file. Options are identified by option names and the properties inputs like phone number and country code. Our JavaScript function will parse these options into our module. Let's move on with our code. We will need to parse the phone number option and country code option to the phone method. The phone method will return an object containing the formatted number if it's valid, or notify us if the number is invalid. we need to assign the method to a variable and output the result. The returned response from the function will be picked by the phone number and the is valid in the data scheme in RH-JSON. Now let's see what the module look like. If you have been following along, you should find the module in the validator section in the Server Connect. Awesome. Now I will explain the lines of code in the HJSON file. If you need further explanation, you should visit the official wappler documentation on the topic. The type. This is a unique name for your module. The module. This is the name of the JavaScript file that contains our module's code. The action. This is the name of the exported function in the JavaScript file. The group title. This is the name of the group this module will belong to. If the name of the group already exists, your module will be added to it, otherwise a new group will be created. The group icon. This is the font awesome icon class for the group. Be sure to include wappler's color modifier class to give it a distinct look. The title. This is the pickable name for the module. It will appear in the group. The extra variable name beside the title will be picked from a property name with that name. This will be used to identify each instance of the module in your API action. You can use any property name value for this. If not specified, a property whose name value is equal to name will be chosen by default. The icon. This is the icon for the module. Remember to add wappler's color modifier to give it a distinct look. The data scheme. This will be the pickable outputted values for the module. The data pick object. This will allow us to be able to pick the data scheme values. The properties. This is where we define the UI input for our module. You can classify them into groups and give each group a name. You will define the attributes of each inputs in the variables. The output variable allows us to output the data scheme to the client side. You can find more input types in the wappler documentation. Now let's continue working on our app. We will define the post values for the form that will be sending the data from the client side. We will generate a form from the API action. We will also need to populate the select input with the country dialing codes. I will be copying this from a page. I will link the page in the description. Create a .json file in your project directory and paste the code. Now add a JSON data source element to the page and pick the JSON file we just created. You may encounter a bug with the URL input. Switch to code view and update the JSON file name. Now update the data source for the select input and update the name and value field. You will need to select code for the value field. Add an alert element to the page. We will display this if our API request is successful or there is an error. Now update the API action. Check if the isValidOutput of validateNumber module is true or false. Set a value if the output value is true. Set an invalid error 400 if it's false. Now display the alert if the action is successful or the phone number supplied by the user is invalid. Note, response error 400 means invalid. You can choose to output the module data scheme or set your own custom output. Now let's preview our page. Awesome. I would like to set a default value for the select. Awesome. Awesome, our module seems to be working. Let's update the error alert to display the error message we set in the backend. Awesome, all looks good. Now I believe you know how to implement your own custom modules in Wappler. If this video is helpful to you, like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.